Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, Meike and I have come out way down west to a place called St Michael's Mount, which is in Mounts Bay, Marazion, and it's going to be Meike's longest ride since she started training a couple of weeks ago. And because of this, on the e-bike, we're starting to get a little bit of range anxiety. So we've done 45 kilometers already, and it's telling us we've got 60% battery left, but we've had a tailwind to get down here. It's been relatively flat. The bulk of the climbing is yet to come. We're going to go back up what I call the hilly back of Cornwall, so over Blackrock, through a place called Leedstown, Praise, Blackrock, and then we've got a couple of steep climbs right at the end. If the battery goes flat, you've always got my battery. You can borrow my inner tube and hook it around your head tube or something and get towed up the climbs. But to be really honest, I'd rather that you manage to make it home. So we've done an hour and 45 so far, and your training's going well, isn't it? So far, you've not done any structured training as such. It's all about in those first few weeks. As it is with anything, when you start up fresh, you have to just ease yourself into it. You have to get used to the sensations you have. You have to understand how you're feeling and just kind of ease your body into it to prevent injury, basically. So no crazy hours, no crazy intervals, just getting used to the sensations back on the bike again. We're going to try and make it home right now. Whilst we're doing that, I'm going to leave you with a bit of an overview of the training that's going to come up in the next few weeks, and also show you what Meike has been up to recently. So Meike has had the e-bike now for just over 2 weeks. In that first week, we just did a little settle-in ride, getting used to the bike. That was just an hour. You may have noticed on the last video, the training program said pain, 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 pain. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, if I'm really honest. The first couple of weeks of anyone getting back into a sport is all about just easing themselves in to prevent injury. So far, the longest week has been just over 6 hours, and that's mainly because of that really long ride that we did on that Friday. And that's, if I'm really honest, probably pushing the envelope of what we should have even been attempting. But the weather was amazing this time of year, got to make the most of that, and it was good fun. That also means that Meike can take a bit of an easy week the following week, because it's going to be half term, which means that fitting everything in and around with work and the children just means doesn't want to ride a bike too much. I think that's more than fair enough. Going forwards though, then we'll start to look at actually increasing the intensity. So Meike's goals are all around just general fitness and just getting used to riding a bike again and being able to ride on her own again. So none of the training is going to be too crazy specific like it would be if she's perhaps intending to race next year. Although you never know, maybe someone will convince her in the meantime. It's been a little while since she raced, maybe she'll be keen again. The next few weeks, we're going to try and up the overall hours of the riding, but not increase the intensity just yet. You can't increase both things at the same time, so it's important just to do one or the other. And I think whilst the daylight hours are still here up until the clocks change, it's going to be important just to increase the duration ever so slightly, try and increase the frequency that she's actually managing to ride. And then as we move into November, then is a good time to start looking at a few intervals. And if you are just getting back into cycling, I recommend this sort of approach as well. And as for you, you need to get back into shape as well. Get out on your bike, it's only a bit of rain. You may have just picked up on, I said we've headed out with a tailwind and we're now riding back into a headwind. Perhaps that seems counterintuitive to you and you think we would have probably been better off heading out with a headwind, turning around and cruising home with a tailwind. But I don't think that's the case when you ride with people that are weaker, less experienced or have less endurance than you do. And I think this is a big mistake that lots of group rides actually make. If you head out with a headwind, by the time you come to the tailwind, those riders are already going to be fatigued and they're not going to get the benefit of sitting on the wheel like they perhaps would if you did the ride the other way around. So head out with a tailwind. That way the weaker, less experienced riders or riders with less endurance, they can contribute to the pace or cruise along whilst they're still feeling fresh. Then when you get to the headwind section and you have to battle it way home, they can sit on the wheels and get much more benefit, meaning you can ride together longer, they can shelter longer, it improves their endurance, their ability. Everyone's a winner that way. And I think this is a major flaw in most group rides. After a whopping 2 hours and 13 minutes, averaging exactly 24 kilometers an hour, so 15 miles an hour, we have now, well, I say we, I haven't got the battery. Meike's battery is now just dropped below 50%, meaning theoretically, we're only halfway, though I do know the second half of this ride is a little bit harder. We've done 54 kilometers and climbed 670 meters roughly. So that's pretty good going. If it genuinely did another, or you know, if that was really half of it and it did another 50% of this again, that'd be incredible. But as I said before, the last few kilometers are pretty hilly. And in fact, this little bit of the rundown is also pretty hilly, so it's going to be touch and go, I reckon, which makes it quite exciting. Also the fact that we do need to get home on time for the school run. It adds to that sort of anxiety, excitement. Hello, Meike, Opie boss. How are you feeling?
Getting a little bit tired.
A little bit tired. Well, after 54k, that's not too crazy, is it?
No.
And it does just prove that indeed you have to pedal yourself as well. It's not for free.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely have to keep on pedaling. And everything over 25 it cuts out, so then you've got a heavy bike to ride with. And
to be fair, considering we've averaged 24 kilometers an hour, we've spent a fair amount of time over 25.
Yeah, even now. Yeah.
It's going well. So the other few days your average heart rate has been in the 160s and in the 170s,
Yeah.
which again just hammers home the fact that you're having to try hard for what you get, but you also get that little bit more assistance, meaning we can actually ride together.
Yes, it's really nice to be able to ride together. There's no way that we could ride together if I didn't have that little bit of assistance. So it's really nice.
It's the final descent, which means one of two things. It is the last downhill, but also it means there's only one more climb. And it's looking good for the battery. It's still showing orange, it's not red, and I've not had to start pushing. And that's after 75 kilometers of your finest corners, hills and wind. So it's going well. But how does an e-bike handle? Can Mrs. Opie keep up with me down here? So far so good. We're not in the corners yet though. And it's so windy. Here we go, once again my favourite descent. Open stretch at the top. Well, so far so good behind. I don't know if you can see her. Slight left. I'm very pleased to see she's going slower than I am. Hard on the brakes, later than last time. I think the thing I'm most impressed about on that e-bike is that Tiagra now has hydraulic brakes, and I never knew that. They feel just the same as these. Mega powerful. So since today's ride is all about the range of the e-bike, we can now tell you, after 78 kilometers, we've got 25% battery left, which is all right because it's only one more climb to get home. So you can blast up there on zone 4 because it is a short, sharp climb. I think we're going to make it, which means in theory we could probably do another 15 to 20 kilometers of these hilly, windy Cornish roads. That's next week's challenge. What's happened, Meike?
Battery's flat.
Battery's gone. Gone. How many meters are climbing? Out of interest, run us through some stats.
All right.
23.6 kilometers an hour average. 1,100 meters climbed.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
Well, 80 kilometers.
Over 80 kilometers now. But you've made it up the final climb, importantly.
Yeah.
There's a tiny little drag to go, but that's not a big issue, is it? Is it really off, is it? Or is it
Well,
in battery saving eco mode?
yeah, something like that.
Because they go into a backup before they stop, don't they?
Right. It's flashing red,
Flashing red. Out of interest,
but definitely that was definitely a big difference. I did have it in the fourth, no, level 3, so most was help.
most assistant, yeah.
No,
So
don't push me.
I'm not pushing you.
Oh.
I'm trying to get close so I can speak to you. So out of the whole ride, you've done 2 climbs in zone 3, so the most assistance.
Yeah,
And you've done a couple of climbs on the way back into the wind on the second level.
yeah, and most of it in
Most of it in eco.
leveling. So level 1.
That's amazing that that's even possible to go out and ride that far.
Yeah.
Like what a normal average speed for you in Cornwall would be under 20 kilometers an hour, wouldn't it? Amazing.
That was hard going. We've done 3.5 hours. Now I'm absolutely empty. We've done 83.3 kilometers and averaged 23.6 kilometers an hour, which is not bad really.
Right, that's it from us. Hope you enjoyed another mini update, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Bye bye.